Okay, are we live?
We are live.
We are live. Hello, everybody. Oh, this is weird. I was supposed to tweet a link before we went live. Everything is all out of whack. Anyway, welcome. This is our 30-second panel. Is that right? 30 seconds? Yes.
I think so.
And we are talking about shirtlessness in contemporary television, aka our Teen Wolf panel, which is really mostly about misandry and objectifying guys without shirts.
I think you mean the female gaze.
The female, yeah, it's subversion of the dominant paradigm that is the male gaze, and we are all about rolling around in that like a werewolf in.
Although I guess it's still the male gaze since Jeff Davis is a dude.
Okay, but he's a male who appreciates gazing at other males.
True.
So we can work within that paradigm too. So I am Evi. I am your friendly neighborhood moderator today. Evi was here on Twitter and Tumblr, and I'm Recrudescence on LiveJournal and Dreamlit. And let's go ahead and introduce, starting to the left of me. Wait, everyone's to the left of me. Okay, Anna. Oh, I'm so good. Anna, why don't we start with you? We'll go alphabetically.
Okay. Well, I'm Anna Tino, and I'm Anna Tino everywhere, so there's only one word to remember. And I don't know what to say. I'm sort of reluctantly and surprisingly a Teen Wolf fan, and that's why I'm here.
I think that describes a lot of us, reluctantly and surprisingly becoming fans.
Yeah.
Laurel?
So I'm Laurel. I'm Laurel pretty much everywhere except for LJ, where I'm Chibi_Laurel. I got pulled into the Teen Wolf fandom, although it's kind of the thing that I like, because I like horror and teen camp stuff. And at first it was fun, and then it was good, and then I was suddenly really, really invested into what happened to everyone, and then I couldn't stop watching, and now I make all my friends watch it. Teen Wolf.
Which is just as it should be.
You still have friends, though.
Alright, sorry, not sorry.
Okay, God, that's going to be such a mouthful for everyone to get around. Hi,
Can we call you Sniz?
Sniz? Yeah, that's my cool new name.
I'm not calling you
okay.
that.
I don't know, we'll just go with S or something on here. I think that's the easiest way to handle it. Hi, I was formerly known as Sorry Not Sorry, and then a meme took over my username everywhere and beyond. You can find me at Something Exploding at Tumblr, and Hi Art Local News on Twitter. Just skip the E at the very end. I am a huge nerd, and I'm probably to blame for several people losing their lives to Teen Wolf.
You did take mine.
I did.
You took her life?
I did. It was like several months of me screaming, "No, you need to watch this show with me, please."
And I was like, I can't bring any more werewolves into my life because I'm watching so much Being Human.
And I was like, "No, it's inferior. Stop." Which
That's
is
not
not true. It's not true, but still. It's a
Yeah.
very depressing show. At least you can pretend to be happy when you're watching Teen Wolf.
That's true.
And werewolf universes come in many different shapes, sizes, and genres. So, we shouldn't cancel each
Indeed
other out.
they
We're all
do.
inclusive about wolves. And teens.
Oh, Teens.
Alright, so, for the record, we're going to be talking about Season 3, so if you're not up to date, I guess I'll scream spoiler warning and bang a gong every time I say something that could be a spoiler. Except
Well,
I don't-
actually,
We'll actually go off the air.
Alright, well, I don't have a gong. So.
Wait.
I also wanted to ask, although maybe that's a question for later, I don't quite know, if we're allowed, or how we're supposed to frame, if we are allowed to do it, to discuss sort of canon information that has come in advance of the canon. For example, answers that Jeff has given in Q&As and stuff like that. Because some of them are going beyond what the episodes have revealed so far.
I would say
I
think
would
it's
say
fair
we're
game,
good.
but I think just as long as we we say that we are responding to that before we actually blurt out what the information is.
Right, exactly. So it's like
Oh.
there's spoilers for released episodes and there's sort of spoilers for future episodes depending on
Yeah, so
non-canon.
I mean, if we just say, okay, so just start off your sentence with something like, as Jeff Davis answered this in the Q&A on Tumblr, and it is
Right.
spoiler. So if anybody doesn't
Mhm.
hear after that, they can cover their ears or run away or
Okay.
whatever it is they do.
Cool.
And let's see, should we just start from the top and talk about that burning question everyone is wanting to know, which is how the hell do werewolf tattoos work? Because I don't know.
I kind of liked the fanon about mountain ash or whatever, or wolfsbane, excuse me, in the tattoo ink. But then I was thinking how shitty that would be because, like, you can in real life have an allergy to tattoo ink. Like, some people are allergic to red tattoo ink, so it's like having an allergen in your skin forever. So that would be pretty shitty. So I'm kind of glad it's not that. Although a blowtorch makes little to no sense.
Yeah, those are some very precise lines for a blowtorch, and that's what was kind of getting my goat about it, is because there's no possible way that you could get anything that intricate with a freaking blowtorch.
Well, I was assuming that the blowtorch was bringing out the tattoo that had previously been done.
Oh,
yeah, I
that's
think
a good
that's what-
idea.
I think that's what the
Interesting.
canon was supposed to be saying, right? There's this moment where we see, spoilers, I suppose, Derek's watching, he says he still sees the tattoo, so I was thinking that too, that the canon was trying to establish the fact that the blowtorch is only bringing it back.
I like that. I like that a
That's
lot.
cool. No, I thought, because I think everything I've seen is people kind of screeching about how in the world is he giving him a tattoo with a blowtorch? So the idea of him burning away the layers, and it's, ew, that means it's like buried under the healed skin.
Well,
Yeah,
that is
it's-
what tattoos do. Like,
Yeah, but that's okay, interesting.
Like, except they go a lot. I mean, tattoos are still in the skin, and I think with the blowtorch you would actually burn all the layers, including the ones that have the ink in it. So it doesn't actually make sense, but it makes enough fictional sense, I guess.
well, maybe
about as much as
fire kills the natural healing tendency, like that kind
Well-
of sustained fire.
Arguably, but I mean, the thing is that, like, it does heal to an extent, but this is what I'm curious about, is does he have to get his tattoo blowtorched every week?
Ooh, yeah. Like, would you have
Is
to get
that,
a
like,
touch
a
up?
part of his, like, haircut thing? Like, you know, oh, I have to, like, go pick up the laundry, I have to do X, Y, and Z, and also I need to get a blowtorch applied to my upper arm again.
You know,
Because
it's a good question, but I was wondering recently, which is a stupid question. I'm sure there's an answer out there. I just haven't looked it up. But we say that a person's body, a normal person in reality, not, you know, in Teen Wolf Land, every cell of our body is supposed to have been renewed and be a different cell every 7 years. And I was wondering about how does that work for tattoos? Like, does the cells that have the ink in them, they just renew themselves around the ink? Is that why tattoos stay?
Well, one, I don't think it's like every single cell in your body is renewing at the same time.
No, of course, it's
Right.
like, but in time, every 7 years you've changed completely, apparently.
I don't think that's necessarily accurate, but it's all this science stuff. But I mean, that's why, like, when you get stuff like brain damage, it's not like it replaces itself. When it's, like, cut out for good, it's gone. From what I understand, like, with tattoo, it's a deposit of the ink and you kind of heal around it. But,
Yeah.
again, that's sort of like my vague understanding of human physiology speaking there. So.
Oh, I should have looked this up before our thing, because before I got a
science.
tattoo, I spent a lot of time researching how tattoos work, and like, because like the biggest threat to fading is sun damage,
Mm-hmm.
because that will like fade the ink out. But basically, you're already growing layers of skin over your tattoo as well, and
Right.
so I don't know if like the ink is so low that like it's like through all your layers of skin to the underlayer, but I think the thing is like your cells are regenerating, but not like all the skin cells on your arm are not regenerating all at once. So,
No, for
like,
sure, but
So
I think
I guess the ink would stay, and it can, but because the tattoo can blow out and all the ink like spreads into the other cells, maybe it just kind of hangs out and new ones just get inked, and that's why
Alright.
it fades. I don't know. That's a
I
total
think
bullshit
I think we
answer.
might be trying to apply a little too much science to something that's more
That's true, it
magic
is.
than science.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
could go into
But this
art
is also
and
a good
stuff, but
this is also a good segue into that intersection of magic and reality in the world where this show takes place. I
Okay.
mean,
Oh, are we talking
there's-
Mhm.
Teen Wolf magic?
yeah, because there's been some. I mean, there are characters who are obviously supernatural, and then there are the characters who have kind of inklings of supernatural things happening to and around them, and we're not quite sure what that means yet. I mean, we were talking before about Giles and Lydia and what's going on with them, because they're team human technically, but there are still some very non-human things going on with them. So what are everyone's thoughts on this? Is Giles, is he actually a pixie? And is that why he was able to make the Mountain Ash work?
oh, I have opinions on this.
Well, I think it's interesting that fandom has, like, magic styles is, like, pretty much a fandom staple, but nobody else really ever seems to be magical. I would like some Magic Allison.
It's arguable for Lydia, I think. There's a suspicion on Lydia's nature with her immunity and all that. And
Right.
to start mentioning spoilers based on Jeff's answers to Q&A, there's been one question that I was really interested by. Someone asked him, did you ever see fan speculation on Lydia's nature that hit the spot, that actually matched what you meant for her to be? And he said yes.
Ooh.
So there is a thing about Lydia's whole nature. And I was wondering about that because I had never thought about what she might be apart from just immune. But after that, I went looking for speculation and I found some. And so I don't know if I should mention what I found.
No, do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
mention what you think is going on.
It's all speculation at this point.
Yeah.
I found people speculating that she might be a banshee, and that's why she's
I
screaming
saw
her
that
head off
too.
so
I
much.
saw
Oh, that's
that
interesting.
too.
I thought that was very interesting.
There was another one talking about her being a psychopomp, like a guide between the conscious world and the subconscious, which would tie in. It's very Freudian.
That works.
Which works well for Lydia, and we will talk about how awesome her Freudian life is later. But, so she's kind of a bridge between those two worlds, which would account for her fugue state and her mind-controlledness. And I cut you off, and I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
on.
no, that's cool. I totally forgot what I was going to add to that. But I've seen things that speculate that she's like a fairy, but I think that was shot down by Jeff.
Yeah, I think so.
In one of the Q&As. In the Back to the Pack special, when they were talking, both Dylan O'Brien and Lydia kind of mentioned, like,
Holland.
that she didn't Holland, was talking about how she was, like, really confused all of season 2 because she never knew what the fuck was going on. She was like, that's why I look so baffled all the time. But Dylan was like, I think Lydia in season 3 is trying to figure out what's going on with her and her powers, which I liked, because maybe she has powers. Although my pet theory is she's like a werewolf squib, like the human child of at least one werewolf, which is why she's immune to werewolf magic.
That would be amazing.
She's like a muggle-born wizard.
Especially because I just rewatched that episode where they're like watching some hilarious science video about immunity and like vaccines, and thinking about how immunity works, where you're injected with like part of the virus, which they mention like on camera on that show. I don't know if this is like too whatever. Teen Wolf meta gets crazy, so I'm gonna get
It's all
crazy with
speculative.
it. So
Well, I
So,
mean,
yeah.
it's a deactivated version of the virus if you're talking
Right.
about an antivirus. And I mean, the thing is that it wouldn't necessarily mean that one of her parents would be like, oh, hey, werewolf.
right.
It could just be like a latent gene thing.
But like maybe her parents are werewolf squibs, you know?
I mean,
You could shit all over
Who
my theory,
knows?
that's cool.
Who
But
knows?
that's
I'm
my
not trying
secret theory. No, that her parents have some kind of werewolf connection, but because we've seen her parents basically like not really knowing what's going on, basically letting a strange dude into her room while she's super drugged up, like, and being very preoccupied with her divorce without with their divorce without really paying attention to what's actually happening to Lydia. I feel like it could be something that they would miss, all this weird shit happening.
I always kind of wondered how they managed to avoid realizing how intelligent she is. I mean, they definitely show that she's been downplaying it for Jackson's sake in the first couple seasons, but if her GPA is over a 5.0, how
I feel like her parents knew, but they seemed concerned that her GPA, like her school studies, were being interrupted because of the divorce and didn't realize that they weren't.
It's just that in the conference they said total nuclear meltdown as usual, so
Oh.
been nuclear meltdowns in the past, or are they just making stuff up to snipe at each other? I think it's interesting that she's got the most dysfunctional family, it seems like, right
True.
now. Not counting the Leahys.
The Leahys, yeah.
Well, they don't count anymore.
They don't count anymore, but can we talk about how awesome all the single parents are on the show?
Oh,
except for the Leahy father.
Except for, well, he doesn't count.
Right, he did.
Well, we get rid of him real quick because he's just a bad example.
Oh man, one of my favorite things that Jeff Davis talked about on Twitter was like somebody was like, why is Scott's mom like never around and doesn't notice all this stuff? And he was like, 'cause she is working to provide for her family. And I was like, good takedown, because fuck that attitude.
Well, I like that the parents have jobs that would necessitate them not being around.
Right, that's a clever bit of writing, because a lot of shows just sort of are like, oh, these parents are really
They're
absent.
at the office.
Yeah.
That always kind of bothered me about the Animorphs books, because I have to bring Animorphs into everything.
That's cool.
But how are they not noticing their underage children walking in barefoot in spandex in the middle of the night and whatever? Anyway.
Well, one of them was a lawyer, so she was out a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Jake's parents, you think, would notice something was up.
I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, we're going to have an Animorphs jam session at some point. That's just going to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, so
yes, kick ass.
yeah, the like being a sheriff is like a great parental role, because one, it explains Styles like
on the scene.
and preternatural research abilities. You know, like he's picked up a lot of stuff from his dad. And his dad is awesome.
Dad is
I love the
awesome.
sheriff. And I love Lyndon Ashby, because he's such a dad. On
He's a
Twitter.
total dad.
It's very
He's a cool
interesting
dad.
trying to disconnect Lyndon Ashby from Papa Argent, because, I don't know, Lyndon just seems so wholesome and charming.
Wait, J.R. Bourne is Papa Argent.
Yeah, you meant from
No, sorry.
Stilisky.
From the sheriff.
Yes.
Stilisky, yeah.
Yeah, because he's such a dad. He's posting like dad joke pictures, but then also being like, well, maybe Styles needs this like XXXL condom, and I was like, that's a dad. That's totally like a weird, hilarious dad thing.
Oh, and speaking of condoms, way to like hammer home the point that safe sex is sexy sex, Teen Wolf. Thank you.
Teen Wolf loves condoms, and I love that Teen Wolf loves condoms.
They are all about safe sex on multiple occasions. We had that.
Yep.
Anyway,
Like Allison grabbing a condom from Kate's bag.
Oh, the best scene.
That was
that
an
was the best
amazing
scene. Just for Scott's face is what makes that scene, and the music.
I
Yeah.
don't know if it's Scott's face. I think it's the fact that, like, you can see her directly, and she's like, don't give a shit.
Yeah, and then Scott's just behind her going like, like he had no idea.
No.
Because he didn't see that coming either, because he was going through the back.
Yeah.
And also his girlfriend wants to bone him. That's worth a move.
And they're all about enthusiastic consent when they hook up for realsies, because he's
In
like,
wine
oh,
cellars.
he's
and-
like- but with Scott and Allison, because he's always like, oh, is this okay? Like, he's checking in with her.
yeah, and
She's an active participant.
that's what makes that scene where he takes her bra off so hot. I mean, because he makes sure it's okay with her, and then she tells him to do it, and then it happens, and it's really adorable.
Right, it's
Well, did you
awesome.
notice that it's always Allison initiating?
Yeah.
I
Like,
that.
it's never him initiating. It's usually her. Like, he'll show up, but she's like the one who's like, let's get down to business.
To defeat. No, it's the same thing with Lydia. Lydia is rebounding all over the place and just not giving a fuck about anything, and it's pretty amazing. She's just
Yeah,
crawling like a
because
boss.
there was a little bit of pushback with the second episode? First up? I don't even know. There's only been
First
two episodes.
episode, I
There's
think.
only been 2, yeah.
Right. The one where Styles' friend from another high school,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Heather.
Heather, wants to bone and then is like immediately taken out of the picture. But I think that's a pretty like genre savvy move because the show has been so careful not to like play into that. But obviously, it's a
Oh, of the
genre,
virgin living, or
or like the girl who wants sex gets killed first.
hmm
But
well, I
there's
think it's a
several.
subversion, but yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, you go.
Okay, no, it's just there's several things there because I was pretty annoyed at the show for doing that after not doing it, and then I was like, well, but we always say, right, the problem is not doing this sort of thing. The problem is that genres only do this sort of thing.
Right.
So if you have diversity, which Jeff worked hard to establish, then maybe you can do it sometimes. I was actually more annoyed in the end with stuff that I find completely baffling, like if you were that person, if you were Heather, who also checks in with Styles actually and says you really want to do this and everything, which I think is adorable. But if you were Heather, so determined to lose your virginity on your birthday,
Wouldn't you have a condom on you?
wouldn't you already have the condom? Wouldn't you drag him to somewhere else than the cold, dark basement to get it on?
Okay, I know.
I have a couple of feelings about this. One is that she's probably not wearing a dress with pockets, so I don't blame her. But two is that, the basement, one, it's clearly like a fancy wine cellar, so it's temperature controlled. But three is that when she gets taken, the thing is that she actually just disappears. None of the bottles are broken when he comes back down there.
Right, that was my
There's
my
no
thought.
sign.
There's no reaction, and we're not sure.
Well,
She has no reason to think she's been abducted to be like killed.
No,
or something.
it took me a while to twig to that, but I agree this is true, and she might not even be dead either. But
I
it's
don't think
still
she
weird
is.
to me. It's still weird to me that she dragged him down there, and also that she sent him to fetch condoms in an unfamiliar home when it's her own brother's, bathroom in her own house and her own birthday. I mean, really, if it was me, there would be a bed, and I would be the one fetching the condoms,
I think my thought about it is because she has a party, so that's like the excuse.
Yeah.
All her friends are upstairs, so maybe she wants it to be like quiet, so maybe not all of them know what's happening. So that would be my thought about the
that would be
basement.
my idea.
Because only Chantal Rhodes is the one she's talking to about boning.
Right, yeah. So
Hey,
it's
can we
discreet.
Can we just talk about how awesome it is that Chantal Rhodes is there again?
I'm so happy
She
she's
is pretty
back.
cool.
And she was
Yeah.
laying down some truth bombs about your first time.
Yes, she was. They were not holding back.
Yeah. Which is great. I love how frank Teen Wolf is about sex, to be honest.
No, it is.
It's pretty great. And yeah, like it's managed to really avoid slut shaming with girls who want sex. And even with this, it's more like, wow, a lot of crazy shit is happening. Not like, wow, Heather really deserved to get abducted. I think at that point in the show, you're thinking, oh no, all she wanted to do was have sex with Styles, and that's all anyone wants to do. So,
Yes.
Also, because
Yeah,
every time
sure.
something involves Styles possibly getting naked, something goes wrong. He takes off a shirt in a locker room, someone opens the door so you don't see it. He's possibly about to get laid, the girl disappears through a window. So Styles is just never going to get his clothes off. That's just...
yeah, it did take me a while to realize that the wine bottles and stuff hadn't actually broken, but then I was like, I think Sheriff Stilinski would probably mention that, because then they would be like, there has been a violent abduction, not like you were the last person to see her alive.
Right,
Then-
so... And I don't know, maybe it's one of that alpha things. Maybe they somehow made her see that, but nobody touched her, and they have to touch in order to...
Right, but Jeff is
Feel or
also setting up
improvise.
like a B arc that's gonna, I think,
Oh, what?
he'll be like he's gonna be setting up some parts of the plot for the second half of
Oh, I
season
see.
3. So like the B or like C level arc, which is gonna be hinted at.
Well, I'm talking about seeing stuff that might not be there. Well, we didn't think she'd been touched by the alphas, but maybe she had earlier in the day. Who knows? And
Right, we
also,
don't know.
as far as we know, I mean, okay, let's talk about the most recent episode. There was this moment with the memories of Isaac in the ice bath, and I thought when I first saw that scene that it was written kind of ham-handedly, and the pacing was off, and they were making it super dramatic with all the light and the music and all that. And then at the end, Styles says, "You don't remember what you said," and he says these things about, what
Right.
Isaac said happened. And then later on, I realized some people are convinced, and I think they might be right, that there's a lot of misdirection going on, that maybe maybe they think they remember stuff that they don't. It's not just about Isaac's memories.
Right.
It's about maybe what happened to them during that scene. And so now I'm kind of in a state where I'm like, nothing we see is real, or we can't know for sure what we see that's real and what we see that's not anymore.
Right, because we didn't see all the things that Styles then repeats back to Isaac. Like, we
Exactly.
didn't see Isaac remembering any of that. So, like, were we in Isaac's perspective then? Also, Deaton is such a troll. Like, is this the best way to hypnotize somebody, shoving them in an ice bath?
And especially since Isaac has a history of horrific abuse
Yeah.
and involving being submerged and among other things. Really, I mean, he looks very pretty. He was very like Ophelia in that tub, but
they're doing a lot of romantic lighting on Isaac this season, and I love it.
Well, it's
He
so
does have,
easy.
he's so beautiful.
He looks like a Renaissance painting, like all the time. It's great.
Let's talk about his Quattrocento jawline and how good.
I'm interested to see how his characterization.
Oh, hello.
Oh, you cut off.
I think Laurel, did you mute yourself?
No? Hello?
Oh, you're
Oh,
back.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what were you saying about?
I'm interested to see how his characterization is set up when he's not being beat to shit, because I feel the thing I love the most about the 2 episodes that we've gotten is that, like, these characters have been allowed to progress season to season and are actually progressing in a fairly logical manner based on the events that have been happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
and Isaac was kind of like, he was very, like, fandom has kind of adopted him as a puppy, but he was also really violent in a pretty great way, and where he just, like, beat the shit out of some dudes for rave tickets.
Yeah, and I
Right.
guess you can kind of say that it's his,
Mhm.
history of horrific abuse manifesting itself, and he's paying it forward. But also, Isaac, of all the betas, has gotten the most fleshed out storyline, so we have more opportunities to feel sympathy or see things through his eyes.
That's true.
So I'm waiting. I'm kind of
Mhm.
waiting for more on Erica and Boyd, whatever the situation is there.
Oh, I
I just want
can't
them
even
to
think
get
about
some more
Erica.
filled out. Okay, I just want them to get more filled out so we can have opportunities to feel things. Other
Right,
than,
I want to
"Ooh,
know why
muscles and-"
Boyd is
I know
sitting all
Boyd's got-
alone.
I know, and he's got muscles in a Zamboni. Why are people not all over that?
Right,
Ugh.
like, he's pretty hot, so why is he so unpopular at this high school?
Yeah, I
But
never even caught on. Like, there was stuff floating about, or that I caught from Fannin and Fick, that hinted at the fact that the reason he wanted the bite was because of his loneliness, and his loneliness was somehow because he used to be fat. And I read enough stuff about that it made me feel like it was a bit from canon that I had missed. Does that ring a bell for anyone? Because
No,
I
it-
never.
I
No,
think
that's
it's not
not really out
canon.
there.
Okay.
I mean, with Boyd, I mean, the thing is that it's kind of like one of those sort of suspension of reality things that you sort of get into, especially with a show like this.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, this dude has a job where he gets to ride a Zamboni at the ice rink when it's closed. Okay, that person would definitely have friends.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. I'm like, if I knew that person in high school, I'd be like, hey, what are we doing tonight and every other night until we graduate?
The only thing I was thinking of, like, that canon has sort of hinted at is that there's definitely, like, a lot of class stratification in Beacon Hills.
Yeah, and Boyd is not on the upper end there.
Yeah, when we see his house, there are, like, bars on the windows,
Mhm.
and we don't see that for any other characters.
Right.
Yeah,
So
clearly
that
Beacon
could
Hills
definitely
is-
be a thing. And he, do you see that crappy bus that I ride? So even though Styles is clearly not super well off either,
He's got
he at
his
least has a
Jeep.
car.
He's still better off, and he can pay for gas. Yeah.
Right.
Clearly,
I
Beacon
still
Hills
have
does not
issues
have
with
private
driving,
schools.
so-
Oops, sorry. But clearly, Beacon Hills does not have private schools because Lydia and Jackson would be in them. But
Not necessarily. If
I know,
the
I'm just
area is
joking.
affluent enough, yeah. I mean, it's just like they have a very rich high school.
Yeah.
I mean,
Although-
just
I mean, if they don't have a freaking football team, how rich can they be? Says the girl from Texas. So,
listen.
we're
they-
here's the crap. But speaking
None of our
um,
characters are adept enough to play football
that's true.
yet.
Although,
They
I
were
mean,
not the beginning.
do you think they still have a basketball team, or do you think they don't have one anymore? This is a really esoteric question because Peter.
I
used
think
to
we
play
would
on
never
it.
see one on the show because the idea that they would have to do some kind of change effect without anything guarding the face. in
True.
broad daylight would be a pain in the butt.
Ah, that would be a problem, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because, I mean, the lacrosse thing was like, so we can see more of them, but also they still have helmets.
Right. That's a good point. Well, because we did get some of the swim team because Jackson is the captain, even though they sucked, which I liked.
Yeah, we did, and there's backstory with Derek swimming also.
True, from On Fire. Although
If you read the tie-in novel, which is On Fire,
oh my god, I love On Fire so
it has
much,
some,
and
it
I
has
want
some
to
good
talk about
backstory
how
about,
much I fucking love On Fire.
Okay, just let me intro it.
Do it.
Okay, so it's a novel that ties in with a series, and it's not Word of God canon, but it can be if you want it to be. And it has some really awesome backstory about teenage Derek and what his relationship with Kate was like. And it's also got some little tidbits of Thad and Styles when they were younger and how that all goes back to the current situation.
It does a really good job of setting up like a believable timeline for like the Hailfire, Styles' mom, Scott's parents' divorce that fits in really well. Jeff Davis said on a Tumblr Ask that not all of it is considered canon.
Oh.
Okay.
But
yeah.
that means part of it could be.
Did he specify?
Well, I don't
No,
think it was even that. I think it was just like, if it turns out to be canon, then he's
Yeah.
okay with it. But
Right.
none of it was actually like given over saying like, these are the facts.
Right, but I guess my question would be like, how much of this backstory is like considered canon? Because
I think
everybody,
at this point it's like published fanfic.
I really want the timeline to be correct. Although Jeff Davis is like a real tease about Derek's age.
The timeline thing is going to be an issue, I think, at any point, because it clearly wasn't plotted out, especially in relation to ages.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like,
Styles, I'm giving the biggest issue with his driving.
Oh my goodness.
At the beginning of the show, he shouldn't have been able to drive. He wasn't 16.
he could have a hardship license because his father works a lot.
Yeah, but it varies from state to state.
Yeah, I can hand wave
But you
that
can-
in the name
you
of,
can get
it's a show about
You
teenage
could get a
girls.
hardship license at 15.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing: is that there's clearly a bus system in place.
Right,
I
but
mean-
but that's like his dad works weekends. I don't think it'd be like totally not believable for him to
With
get a hardship
full reign
license.
over his own car, but that's just my thing. In that, again, like
Okay,
driving age things vary from state to state.
I guess like
broadly,
because
it's,
I
like,
grew up in
crazy.
an area where that was not uncommon.
Oh yeah, it's not common like out where I've grown up.
Right, so I don't know what the commonality of it in.
So if you're from California, please let us
California.
know. How early are you allowed to drive on your own without supervision?
Wait, can I ask something
Yeah.
that might be stupid?
No.
Do season 1 and 2 cover the same high school year? Because that was my impression.
Yes.
They do. Yes.
So we know that he's not yet 17, but he might. Oh, we know that his birthday's in April, don't we? Okay, that's the thing that's the spanner in the wrench, right? The spanner in the works. Because if he was just not 17 yet at the beginning of this school year, he could be just about to turn 17 and have been 16 from the beginning of the show.
Does it say, is it canon that he has an April birthday? Where is that from?
Yeah,
It's
it
either
is.
April or November. I forget which.
No, we got a birthday because this is.
Because MTV's Twitter wished him happy birthday on April 8th, I
That's
think.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tweeted at them. I was like, "Wow, I can't wait for all the horoscope meta," and then I didn't get any horoscope meta. So I should probably
Nice.
write some because I definitely had some, but
But
yeah.
what-
So his,
I just
Sorry.
had a thing. No, you were talking about On Fire and Teenage Derek, and the fact that Jeff has said several times even that Derek is much older than people think.
right.
And it just reminded me that as part of the speculation that I read this week, I found a thing that speculates, spoilers, possible spoilers, on the images from the new credits with the hands rising up from the earth. And speculated that because there are 8 hands, and we know that there were 8 Hale family members died in the fire. So there's speculation hovering about that maybe it has to do with a resurrection arc, or these people are not dead, or something like that. And suddenly I thought, we know that Derek ages normally, if we believe On Fire. At least he's aged normally in the timeline that they give us from his teenage years till now.
Right.
Maybe Derek is much older than you think, hence more at something like various resurrections and stuff.
Oh my God, is it like Venture Brothers?
I don't
my
know.
god.
Oh.
There's the clones.
Have you ever seen Venture Brothers?
I have seen Venture Brothers, but oh yeah, the sons are clones, aren't they?
Yeah, where they're clones, so every time they die, their memory is like imparted into a new body. So
Right. So maybe Derek is much older than we think in very many weird ways that are not
yeah.
an
So it's
average,
less
they live
Venture Brothers,
longer.
more, oh crap, I can't spoil that movie.
Oh.
Oh,
But
well,
it's also interesting that just chronologically, regardless of how Derek is aging, he's getting better about saying how he feels and being upfront with people. He still sucks at communication, but he's actually making steps to be better at leading
I think he
and
sucks at
opening up.
polite communication.
Well, he's not used to interacting with people who he doesn't have to be super on his guard with. I mean, it took him 3 episodes to tell Scott that he wasn't the one who bit him. And then
Yes,
just the
That's
other
true.
and then the other episode he's like, "Look, there's an alpha pack, it's my problem. Don't worry about it."
I love that. I love that he's like
He's
one.
starting to look out for him, even though he's not actually pack, but he gets that he's got responsibility there.
Well, I think,
He is the more experienced Wolfie one, and
but also like Scott's not Pac, so that's not
Yeah.
his problem anymore.
yeah,
so
but he's still
there's like the
giving him
paternalistic part,
information.
but like that like get out of my
He's still
pack
looking out for him.
kind of thing.
Yeah, but he's still looking out for him,
And also
didn't-
there's a form of I'm trying to take your wishes into account because Scott said a few times that he didn't want anything to do with this.
Right.
So-
Yes.
hmm It's a very big step up from chasing him around, breaking his phone, breaking his arm to try and condition him. He's trying to work with him instead of trying to mold him into what he needs to be from Derek's perspective.
Oh, that's the other thing I want to know about Isaac is how Boyd and Erica's disappearance has really affected him because he's been looking with Derek and Peter for them.
Mhm.
And the others, and I think Peter being like, well, I'm sure they were great kids, but whatever, they're dead. And I wrote this, I felt like it was
Peter.
kind of like an interesting parallel to Styles in the last seasons where he was like, well, I know Jackson, but he's a dick, so we should just kill him. Kind of like disregard for people that we're not like personally connected with, and there really isn't like a ton of interpersonal connection between Erica and Boyd and anyone who's not Isaac and Derek.
Mhm.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
and
like
I like that because they're not pretending like, oh, everyone's like buddy-buddy. It's like, no, literally, these characters have not had any scenes together.
right, no, I like it.
Don't pretend they're besties. And it drives me nuts because like a lot of people are like, oh my god, why does that happen? It's like, no, they really don't interact that much.
Like, I think Derek's obvious mistrust of Allison and Lydia is like the only sensical characterization for him. And
Oh, yeah.
obviously, I don't think Peter's gonna be like, let me tell you all about my resurrection magic.
Yeah.
And like Lydia knows what the fuck's going on, so, and I doubt that she ever had like a sit down talk with Derek, although she does mention how they had like werewolf lessons with Derek and Jackson, so maybe they hung out, but I don't know that she would be able to give a particularly cogent explanation of what was going on. So
It'll,
all
be
their,
it'll be interesting if it does come to light.
If she had, we can hope. I mean, I don't think Derek would mention the way that she quote unquote used him.
right, I don't think he would have said that, because
Right.
he seems to be like trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, but as far as he knows, yeah, he just got magic roofied by some girl, and then he woke up and his dead uncle was awake.
Right.
Which must be like extra hard because it was so hard for him to actually kill him in the first place.
hmm
And I hope that we deal with like, I'm glad that nobody like,
Oh, Laurel, you
Oh.
muted. Come back. You're mute.
oh,
There you
hello?
You lie.
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I'm glad that nobody likes Peter.
No, well, some people do, but
No, I'm glad that nobody on the show.
Okay, well, fandom has
Me too.
building
And-
up a contingent for the sassy, snarky uncle who looks at gifs of.
Yeah, but we can do both, right? I mean, I do like that no one on the show likes him, but that enables me to like him in some way.
Right, no, I don't really care about people's personal feelings about Peter, but I'm glad that the show has not shown anyone to be like, oh, you're so sassy. Because, like, that's
Yeah.
totally different from liking him from a character perspective versus, like, Like, obviously, Derek wouldn't be like, come back to my arms, dude who killed my only living member of family that I could talk to. Like,
Well, he did it
Yeah.
while he was high on alpha juice. It's not his fault.
that's
But
not
he
true at all.
wasn't really. That he wasn't.
It's not his fault. Look at his face. Ugh.
Ugh, no.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
look this
no,
good, why
that's a terrible
wait?
excuse.
Yeah, I definitely don't, like, I don't want to give Peter really much benefit of the doubt.
Mhm.
There, considering that, like, it was clearly premeditated, at least getting
Mhm.
the alpha powers. Although I am intrigued if we get any like Laura Peter backstory. Like, did they talk? Did she refuse? Did he just kill her? I
Because
don't
we
know
only
either.
see that flashbacky thing where they're kind of in the woods and she's coming up Peter, and then he comes around and shooting.
Oh, Step quietly talked to us on Twitter.
Yes.
Uh,
And I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Oh, she says Kate might have been able to use Mountain Ash, right? Because she locked the Hales in with it, or is that fanon, not canon? I don't think that was
I
mentioned
think it's
on the
Shannon.
I'm not
Yeah, I
sure.
think it's Shannon.
It might have been mentioned. On Fire gives an explanation for why there were like so many Hales at the house, because they were all there for a werewolf holiday,
It was the Wolf Moon.
the Wolf Moon, which I like because Derek's family means a lot to him in his weird sullen way in
And
the
there's
book.
like Derek's about to undergo this rite of passage thingy, so he's getting all buffed and swimming, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think, but I don't think that even mentions Mountain Ash. So
No, I don't remember it being mentioned in the book,
I-
actually. But I
Yeah,
can
I don't remember that being in the. I think it was more of a surprise attack.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But
Well, and it might not even have been that. I mean, like, the thing is that the
Oh, she
Mountain
didn't-
Ash seems like a newer thing.
she
with
didn't
most
start
of
the
them.
fire, though, did she? Herself. She hired those
She
dudes.
did
She did.
something, but I'm just wondering, like, when they found Laura's body with, like, that ring of wolfbane stuff.
hmm
And I'm wondering if that could have been, like, used as a trapping mechanism, given that it was already set up in the first episode.
Yeah, she could have had something to do with Wolfsbane, but I'm thinking like she didn't actually set the fire. We saw that scene on the show where she hired arsonists, so she wasn't even there.
Oh yeah.
Although
I'm
in the
just
book
thinking
it
in
has her
terms of, like,
standing-
availability.
It has her like standing far away and sort of thinking to herself like a movie villain, which is great.
Yeah, and
Kate-
doesn't her ring get in there? Or...
Yeah, she leaves a ring there for Derek to find because it's a ring that he gave her. She's the worst, best.
She is the worst, and she seduces him while she's a substitute teacher.
Lifeguard.
Which makes this one line where no, I was doing a rewatch of season 1, but where she and
Says
Allison
that about-
she and Allison are watching lacrosse, and she like points out
Jackson.
points out Jackson, and Kate is like, oh, if I were a few years younger, or maybe a substitute teacher, and Allison is like, what? And so that's just that's just even more chill. Allison has no patience for people's pedophile impulses here. I don't know, her like reaction to Lydia's freshmen was like,
But
so
let's be
odd.
fair, all the freshmen at Beacon Hills High School are like 23.
25.
Yeah.
I know. Let's talk about Danny. Speaking of old high schoolers. Segue.
Okay, can anyone figure out how old the actor actually is?
Ugh.
Because
I
I
think
cannot.
he's like 25, isn't he?
I
25.
I think he's like 20. He's early late 20s.
I'm
Something.
still trying to find an actual confirmation on this. I think he's
I
like
wanna
mid-late
know-
20s.
Cinco Walls is 27, isn't he?
Mhm.
Good. He and I can be boyfriend girlfriend now.
And Allison, or I'm
Hopefully.
sorry, Crystal Reed is Wikipedia says she's 28.
I don't.
I'm not sure.
Supposedly,
It's
she's
confirmed.
actually like my age. So yeah, she'd be around like 27, 28.
Yeah, baby face.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, no confirmation on Kiahu.
I just want to know if he works for frickin' NASA.
Same here. He
Because-
seems like
What?
he's like an engineer.
His Twitter bio has him listed as a rocket surgeon, which is a funny joke. But also, he's constantly tweeting with like Bobek, the dude from like
Oh,
NASA Mission
Star,
Control.
the Star
Yeah.
guy.
Star Mohawk dude.
Mohawk guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
When Curiosity landed on Mars, that guy with the mohawk and the stars on his head was like
yeah. So
NASA's
he's
darling, and he's friends with Kiahu.
yeah, they're like Twitter biffles, and Kiahu's always at NASA tweet ups, which are great, by the way. If you're into NASA, you should definitely sign up for a tweet up.
I am now.
Shout outs. But yeah,
Face.
I just really love NASA, y'all.
Werewolves in space.
So I want to know what is like that his real job? Is he just like moonlighting as a really hot like model
Well,
with
I
amazing
know he
abs?
has like a day job suppostly, but what I find interesting is like still like he tweets space stuff that would not be interesting to a non-space nerd half the time. Which is like why I'm like, this might be what you do.
Which is why I love following him. One.
Oh yeah.
This just makes me love him and Danny even more. I mean, like, let's get this sexy NASA guy to play the gay goalie.
Yeah,
about
so
werewolves.
Danny is great, and I love my friend when she started watching Teen Wolf. She was like, "Is Danny like a real person?" Because he gets referenced as like the gay goalie that everyone loves several times before he actually appears on screen.
Hey, Greenberg still hasn't appeared.
Right, so like half the lacrosse team is just made up of mysterious children who we'll never see.
I hope we never see Greenberg.
I
Because
hope
I
so,
find
too.
it so much funnier.
I know.
if Greenberg is just a figment of someone's imagination.
I've seen
Yes.
some really heartbreaking like headcanons about Greenberg, like, oh, Greenberg moved away 2 semesters ago, and nobody just has the heart to correct Finstock.
That's
Beautiful.
amazing.
Beautiful.
Or like Greenberg is actually triplets, and
Well, I think that Finstock designates a Greenberg every year.
I'm sure he
So
does.
he
Oh,
doesn't
man.
need to think of a new name to yell at.
Belinsky.
Yeah,
Oh.
next year we'll find out Scott's the Greenberg. It'll be amazing.
I am curious about their lacrosse status since Styles turns out to be not terrible at lacrosse. And also, there were several people who are lower than him on the team totem pole, according to Canon. So sometimes it makes me sad when people put him back on the bench for his junior year because Finstock called him out before like 5 other dudes
Mm-hmm.
in that one scene where he's like not able to play.
Well, I think at this point the concern
Everything.
is going to be his like chronic absenteeism from practice and games.
Right. That hurts my heart so much. Every single time he
I
got
remember
called
you
to
saying to me
play
about it.
and he couldn't do it, which explains like that I have a lot of unresolved high school feelings, I guess. Sorry, y'all.
Aren't you cosplaying as a Styles? As a
No, I
Styles?
think I'm gonna be cosplaying as
Or Finn Scout.
as Scout McCall,
Scout
Yay.
McCall.
Aww.
Yay.
because Lord knows I need like some Latina characters up in here to cosplay for Dragon Cons.
Yes. All right. So if you see a Femme Scott McCall at Dragon Con, that is Laurel, and you should
Yeah.
say hi.
You should holla at me.
You should holla. And
Since I spent a lot of my time scoping out fandom people in real life, which is less creepy than it sounds.
whoa. Okay, that happened to me the other. No. Anyway,
Fandom spotting in the wild.
random spotting in the wild. All right. Let's see. We are coming up on. It is 1 o'clock.
But we probably should hang on. a
We
little
started
longer.
about 10 minutes late, so let's talk for like 10 minutes and then wrap it up with our favorite thing in fandom for the week.
Man, I just want to talk about Teen Wolf forever.
I know we could do that. I mean, Danny's spoilery storyline is very intriguing to me.
I'm excited about him getting a
He
boyfriend.
does get a boyfriend, and it's very interesting that apparently it's supposed to be spoiler, a relationship based on actual feelings instead of ulterior motives.
No, I think it's both.
Ooh.
Maybe it
Ooh.
starts off having ulterior motives and then there are feelings. I'm just going by the Q&A.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Well, because wasn't it like, does he actually have real feelings for Danny too, or whatever? And yeah, he was like, oh,
Mhm.
well, you know, that might develop kind of thing.
And that's what I like is that, I mean,
Mhm.
that Teen Wolf takes place in this world where it's not a big deal if there are gay characters doing gay things. It's not a huge, fraught, gay, dramatic storyline. It's just something that's happening that's integral to the plot.
Also, Danny allowed to go and get drunk at a bar after his boyfriend, and his bartender friend is like, hey, hook up with that body.
No,
And
yeah,
that's
or like
totally
Lydia.
normal.
And Lydia being a free mother effer and doing her thing with or without freshmen.
Yeah, I like that dude was like, well, can we date now? Nah, it's cool.
And then I know that was a good parting shot, just him in bed with the butterflies on the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know what her mother thinks about that. Maybe she just whatever. Obviously, her mother is not that.
Oh,
tuned in.
we haven't talked about Melissa McCall and how amazing she is, and how amazing she is in this season, where she's like,
Yes, actual pack mom.
all proud of all the work that Scott's been doing, so she let him get the bicycle, even though it scares her half to death.
The
And I
dirt
love
bike.
that, even though her son's a werewolf, she's like, A motorcycle.
And she's still working. She's like the werewolf nurse, so now they have medical help on the inside. And
Well, I don't even think they need necessarily medical help. She's kind of like an intervention at the hospital. Like, oh, you're here. Please don't let anyone treat this person, which I
Right.
do appreciate.
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, they have an ally in a place where it's very good to have one.
Oh my god, that surgeon though, amazing.
That was.
Oh my god, that was beautiful. He was just so perfectly terrible.
Just
I
so
was-
over it.
Yes, yes, please. Like, let's get you some scenery to chew. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, we have another tweet from Step Quietly, who is totally incisive about this, but she points out that they show the Hales hands reaching through the bars of the house when it's burning, and we know werewolves can punch through walls now, so something else had to be involved with that fire.
I mean,
Interesting.
that's probably feasible. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Maybe it
Maybe
depends
it's an
on-
maybe it's an alpha thing punching through walls.
Maybe it depends on the walls as well.
Right.
I mean, I know that Derek. I mean, I don't actually believe that being able to wound Styles' hand is equivalent to punching through a wall. Even though Styles says he can do it, I don't actually believe that personally. But you know.
But then he did.
Wait, doesn't he actually punch through it?
Yeah, then he actually punched through the wall.
Oh shit, that's true. You're right.
Yeah. What they should have done is they should have gotten Void Zamboni.
But he's also an alpha. And we don't know
so
how many
we
alphas
don't know
there
if it's
were.
an alpha thing or.
And
Right.
I think also having werewolf strength doesn't necessarily preclude you from being injured or killed in something like a fire no one was expecting in the middle of the night. Like, there's having the skills and then being able to use the skills in like a panic situation.
Also, Derek mentions that some of the people who burned were not werewolves. Some of them were just common human.
Right.
So sad.
But I mean, I'm sure there was something, I'm sure there's been some thought on it, at least at this point. Because I feel like this season is going to fill in some gaps that either were not fully fleshed out or had not been, like, considered.
Hmm.
Either way, it's working out. Like, I'm enjoying all the little
No, they've gotten off
werewolf
to
tidbits.
They've gotten off to a good start with, like,
Yeah.
a lot of plot lines between seasons will get
Mhm.
dropped and never mentioned again, but they have pretty good continuity. Even with hand waving Jackson, they did it with Werewolf in London reference.
If they hadn't made that joke, it wouldn't have been... but that joke made it perfect.
And I can kind of buy Lydia focusing on kind of, forging ahead instead of getting bogged down with a past that she's not totally sure what happened.
Yeah.
Well,
She's just
been
taking the
shown to
reins
be
and trudging full
goal-oriented.
steam ahead,
Yeah. Well, fuck that. If he's not calling her,
It is kind of weird that, the climax of last season was them getting together and her realizing he's a werewolf and tears and emotions and
Hello?
Macy
I think a lot of that is also, like, Jackson's emotional issues. Like, in the last season, like, not necessarily that their love was, like, this amazing, like, beautiful, huge, perfect love, but more that, like, Jackson needed that reassurance that someone could love him at all.
Oh, and that's also touched on in the book too, just Jackson's
Right.
huge
Oh my-
insecurity. Like his parents make him see a therapist at one point, and he's like, "Oh no, they think I'm not ready for high school. They think I'm not good enough." So
Yeah.
it's very
so-
interesting seeing how insecure he is under his stunning.
So, I mean, while I think both of them had really, like, sincere, legitimate feelings for each other, I don't necessarily think that that's totally unrealistic that she would... And plus, she's just basically looking to fuck. So...
Well, and that's also one of the things. I mean, as part of the diversity in the treatment of love and sexuality in the show, that's one other thing I appreciate is that it could be, important feelings enough that it would help overcoming issues and sort of qualify as true love for the purpose of some, magic-y thing happening.
Right.
And yet that doesn't mean that it is forever or that it is the only love possible or that it should define their entire life.
I do
and
love that,
that's really
especially for a
cool.
high school show. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
exactly. So it's not even just that she can move on and rebound and have like no strings attached sex and fuck buddies and stuff, which is great, but it's also that it frees her up for other feelings, and I don't think the show is trying to diminish the reality of her previous feelings by opening the door to later other feelings.
Right.
That's a good point.
And it's great in a high school show, especially like, and I totally buy Scott's like all-consuming love for Allison because feelings are really intense when you're 17. And the show doesn't like make light of it, but the show also brings in other perspectives. Like, obviously, there's a lot of projection going on when Derek's like yelling at him about it, but also it's sort of like, well, she is like your first girlfriend, bro.
Well, I also like for Scott and Allison that Allison is clearly like coming at it from a different angle than Scott most of the time.
Oh, for sure.
And she's not afraid to make that known.
Yeah, they're like engaging at like different levels. And now he's like, this is forever. Whereas like he wasn't getting that before. And it's really interesting to see how they show that they're not necessarily on the same wavelengths. They're close enough. But they're not always like seeing eye to eye even on the status of their actual relationship.
Like clearly the breakup has hurt her a lot, but not, I don't think that's like the number one feeling that she's been grappling with in her time in Paris, you know?
Right.
He has so many other issues that are also, and like Scott was like really focused, but I do like that they made him not like a creepy, shitty ex-boyfriend.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Like terrible pun. He wasn't mooning over her.
Right. They were like,
he channeled
yo,
himself into other things.
If you're still really obsessed with this girl that dumped you, don't spend all summer calling her.
Yeah.
And like, thank you, Teen Wolf.
So he gets himself as a tattoo as a reward, and then
Yeah.
it's actually really sad that he's telling Derek, "Oh yeah, it's my reward for not calling Allison all summer," and
but I love
Derek is just like, "My whole family burned."
But I love that the show is like, this is appropriate behavior. Like, you could have these feelings, and that sucks, but like, those are not her feelings to deal with. Like, Scott has to deal with those feelings. Because I think that's something that a lot of teenagers don't get.
No, and
Not
it brings
that-
sorry.
Yeah. No, not that Teen Wolf is like imparting moral lessons, but it's
No, but a lot of the things it does ring very true to adolescence, and I mean, you know, like Scott having to do summer school and PSATs and all of the just plain regular stuff they have to deal with in addition to all this natural craziness.
Oh, I do love that Scott is like, his grades go to shit because he's dealing with a bunch of werewolf shit.
I know, as a teacher, this pleases me greatly that nobody hand waves, you know, the fact that he's failing everything and that's gonna actually hurt him.
Right. And it's like, he's like, oh, I do need...
Oh, Laurel, you're mute, come back.
Stop typing.
Laurel.
typing.
No, it's just weird. It's occasionally in the middle of a sentence, your mic just fades out.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry. Well, I just think it's cool that it's like, hey, school, that would be really hard with if you weren't a supernatural genius or, you know.
That's what Lydia's for.
Right.
All right, is there anything else we want to touch on? It's 10 after 1. Any final thoughts before we wrap it
Did
up?
we want to talk at all about the Fanon stuff, or?
Can we do it quickly? I would love to talk about Fanon stuff. But can we do it concisely?
I don't know because I feel like there's more Fanon than canon.
Well,
I
let's
suppose
talk. Can we
do
talk
think-
about that?
Okay, well, and just there is an awful lot of fanon, and I think what's interesting about the fandom is that the powers that be are engaging with it so actively, and just with things like the Q&A and the fanfic and being very open with their fan base about their awareness of the things that fans are producing. So it's kind of interesting seeing how the one bleeds into the other and how much of fanon becomes canon.
Yeah, I guess.
Doesn't become canon and how people are reacting.
Fair enough. I mean, I think it's interesting that there's more of like, like compared to a lot of fandoms that I've been in, there's more of like a blur between the fanon and the canon that you don't really see, and I think that's partly because of the amount of social media interaction that you're getting from the showrunners.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, and if like someone like smiles and says it's cool, and then a lot of people run with it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this is canon, and that's like, no, it actually wasn't, you know.
But
You know,
just
they
one
thought it was a
example.
cool idea, but
Well, one example that comes to mind is like it's a lot of fan art or fic has Styles running around with a baseball bat, you know, being badass, which does not actually happen in the show. Scott wields a bat and his mom wields a bat, but
Did he use a bat in the webisodes? I can't remember.
I didn't see the webisodes.
Nobody loves. There's
It's
all
not
this
real-
extraneous
Anyway,
canon.
I know, but the
Nobody
point
loves.
is, the
Links to
point
Facebook,
is, he doesn't
okay?
wield a bat in the show, and apparently he's going to in this coming season. Word of God.
Mhm.
So who knows if that was an independent decision or if that's something they picked up on from Fanon and they thought it would be cool to integrate. We don't
I think
know.
that's why Teen Wolf has a dedicated social media team, though, because that's a really tricky legal line to cross for
It
Jeff
is.
Davis.
And he's very specific. He's like, I'm not allowed to legally read any of this,
Right.
but I know it's out there.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
I mean, the fan
I-
contest was a loophole.
well,
he
I
doesn't.
think he
He
didn't read
doesn't
it.
just know it's out there. I mean, it's very, very hard. I know this is gonna sound crazy fan behavior, and maybe it is. Maybe I'm just that twisted now. But it's very, very hard not to see the obvious fisting references in the last episode. And not
Oh,
think
yeah.
that he was trolling us, because that's the kind of thing that someone of his age, disposition, generation could very easily decide to do. It seems psychologically realistic to me, even though I do not know Jeff Davis personally, that he was trolling us.
I could see that. I do like it that, like, I know people have accused Teen Wolf of being, like, queer-baity, but I don't actually think it is.
No, I don't think it
It's
is
only
either.
queer baiting if you promise something is going to happen.
Or if that's,
And-
like, the whole premise of the show. But Scott and Derek's interactions are not even anywhere close to, like say, a USA show.
Oh God.
You know, where it's literally, like, the whole show is just, like, two dudes are in love, but they're not gay.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there is canon gay. We have had canon queer relationships
Right.
on screen, and we're gonna have more.
And
It's
Styles' like, sort of, like, ambisexual interactions are not limited to
Oh
just
yeah,
Derek.
Styles is just like, I'm gonna check all the boxes. And
Yeah, 'cause he's
here's
like-
no big deal.
He's, like, sort of flirting with Danny, but he's also, like, flirting with Scott. And I feel like there's definitely a lot more, like, there's a lot of Scott Styles, like,
Well,
where
I
he's...
feel like the queer baiting argument, usually, I think it's only really active when you have, like, an in-canon, like, recoil from the actual suggestion.
Like Sherlock,
Like
Yeah.
Sherlock,
Yeah.
like Supernatural, all sorts of stuff.
right?
But it's like,
And Sherlock does it, I think, the worst, because in canon, people are like, guys, you act pretty gay. And they're like, oh, hell no. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
who wrote all these interactions? Like,
Well, and like Teen Wolf is like, you know, hey guys, this looks pretty gay, and they're like, yeah, it does. Oh well. Like, all right, have fun.
but everybody like, well, yeah, Danny's really attractive, but I like girls. And it's like, oh, okay.
That's
Scott's
It's
just
not
like-
like a how dare you.
I love
Right.
that Finstock of all people is actually really tolerant. I mean, he makes such a big deal over not wanting to come off as homophobic at the dance, and
Oh, that's
I
great.
love
he has his little
Finstock.
man-to-man talk about, you don't think Danny's an attractive guy? It's like, oh. It's just he tries so hard to be, you know. No, I don't think he tries hard. I think he just is. I don't know where I was going with that thought. Oh, Finstock.
He is one of my favorite dudes on Twitter because he's like a stand-up comedian. So he
Of
has
course
like
he
a
is.
pretty robust Twitter, and people tweet him like the weirdest shit during the shows.
I actually
And
don't
he's
follow
totally
much
down
of the
with it.
cast because I'm embarrassed.
I like creepily use Twitter to follow mostly celebrities, I feel. Not my fandom Twitter, y'all.
And then you get all weird when they reply to you.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, oh god, when Tyler Posey actually replied to my fandom Twitter, that was bizarre as shit.
He's so
I remember
cute,
that.
though. I mean, have you seen him talking about how he can't wait for there to be Teen Wolf action figures? And
Oh
he's
my
just
god,
gonna-
I love him. I love him and how he loves everything.
Just the whole cast. My headcanon for the whole cast is that they just, you know, kick back and drink and snuggle and read Nottingham porn and laugh at it.
Toke up.
Puppies.
They are high as shit all the time.
At
can see
least
it.
Posey.
At least Posey.
No cozy.
I love Tyler Posey's love affair with food also. That's
Ugh.
pretty great.
Oh my god, can I talk about how excited I am that they're starting Lydia After Dark again?
Oh my god, I am really excited
I am
about that.
excited for that. I've never seen it.
I did it a few times last season. It's just like a Ustream of her talking after the episode.
Yeah, I know what it is. I've just never participated.
The
at all,
ones
but I
with
really want
her,
to.
Beautiful.
her and Colton Haynes were like ridiculous. He's such like a bimbro.
I've never
Totally
heard that.
is.
What?
Like a himbro, like
Himbro,
I've
not
heard it.
bimbo, right?
No, I've
Yeah.
heard
Just a
himbo.
himbo.
Himbo and bimbro. Either. Okay,
I'm going with
Himbro.
either.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
I love him. He was like adorable, but his like grasp of live streaming technology was like amazeballs.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think her and Ian Bohen are going to be hanging out, or do you think he will eschew all fan interactions since Tumblr was like, please don't talk about these things?
Oh my god, I forgot about that already. Oh shit.
That's always a danger when you have this much social media and when the fourth wall is this thin. It's very easy to stick your foot in your mouth before your PR team can corral you away from doing that.
My headcanon is that Jeff Davis actually did think about some stuff that Tumblr was yelling at him about.
Yeah.
About what?
Just like racial representation and like ladies and that kind of stuff. I feel like really amped about the like super increase in lady characters and women of color on
Well,
this
I
season.
hope that girl is not actually dead because she was awesome and
Well, somebody asked about it and he said, "Did you see a body?" So
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is that they like, when she got cast, they were talking the shit up, like, for her, like, for months.
yeah, they were like Megan Tandy, and she's been tweeting, and now she's being cagey about her character. But
Ooh.
I mean, I'm worried that we'll just learn about her through Flash.
Through flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope not. But at the same time, we know she's not a wolf, and if
Right.
she survived that battle without being a wolf, she has to be something else, right? Because just human won't cut it.
Maybe she's something like Morel, or who knows what's going on with that. If is she double dealing with the alphas? I mean, she's on a first name basis with Deucalion.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Miss Morel.
She's
Well-
a Canadian who speaks French.
Bianca Lawson is already immortal, okay?
That's
She doesn't. No,
She
it's
doesn't
true.
age.
She doesn't age.
that's true. She does not age. So
Not bad.
This would not be a stretch.
All right, so we could spend like 67 hours talking about how much we love everyone on this show, characters and actors. But let's bring it in. Does anyone have any
All right.
final thoughts?
I love Teen Wolf, and I feel like it has moved beyond like campy, goofy show for me to like a pretty well thought out show that I'm actually really intrigued by the writing and really curious about it. So I hope it continues to deliver some surprisingly nuanced character like development.
Yeah, it's like that quote that keeps getting reblogged all around Tumblr. This was just supposed to be a stupid show about teenage werewolves. What happened?
Oh my god, there's like 5 of those now.
I know.
Yeah,
And
And
it's still accurate.
and Teen Wolf at Tumblr reblogged it.
Yes, they did. It's on the official Tumblr because they are so
Mhm,
into
mhm.
and hip and laughing at us.
Uh,
Should we do fave things in fandom this week?
Sure.
Because normally we end our fandom spotting panels. We each share our favorite thing in fandom this week, regardless of whether or not it's related to our current topic. Who would like to begin? I mean, honestly, right now my favorite thing is learning that Kiyako might work for NASA and is friends with
Bobek.
Starhawk.
Yeah.
So that's my new favorite thing right now. That is amazing. I'm going to check that out.
Ooh, my favorite thing, maybe, I don't know if this qualifies as last week or not. I can't remember what happened. But generally, Gideon Emery's Twitter feed at this point.
Oh my
because
goodness.
it's super charming to me. But
Oh,
also, when
yes,
he
and he
called
is-
out that person for that blindness joke.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, can
It
you
was
recap that for
beautiful.
Can you recap that for anyone who doesn't know?
Basically, someone tried to tweet a terrible joke at him, and they said, oh, how does this pack, like, I forget, did they, like...
How does the
How
pack
does-
get
how does
back at
Deucalion-
Deucalion?
Yeah.
How does
it's like
Deucalion's
they-
pack punish him?
Yeah, and it was like, they move around the furniture, and he just replies, he's like, not cool. And I'm like, yes!
Yeah, and then some
Not
people
funny
were
at
like,
all.
come on,
Thank
it was
you.
a little funny, and I was like, you don't really understand why this is not funny, but
But he was
Oh,
just so
God.
dignified and perfectly punctuated. And
yeah, I was excited that he is not going to, like, deal with that shit.
No, it was so
I am
insane.
really,
understand.
really interested in how this show portrays disabilities, so I'm really excited
Mhm.
for that, too.
I'm interested to know why he's blind. Obviously, it's something we can't heal. And is he blind in wolf form, or does he see somehow telekinetic?
Ooh, like Animorphs, like, are they healed when they're...
I mean, obviously he can't heal his eyes back.
Well,
I mean, can you
I
heal
haven't
something
born
that's already genetic?
No,
Yeah.
my current theory is that he's been blind since birth, and it's just a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No big deal. He's still awesome. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sorry, I totally took over your favorite thing. But it's
I think my favorite thing, if we ever do a follow-up post where we link stuff, would be there's this really great Tumblr photo set where Chantal Rhodes' character and Heather are like supernatural detectives.
what?
Yeah.
I was like, yes, this is awesome. So that's my favorite thing in fandom. Well, it was when Teen Wolf Twitter tweeted that picture of Erica, but now I don't know what's going on with that. So
It's still up in the air. Still up in the air.
it's true, and we don't know about werewolf healing powers. So we'll see how this goes.
Well, and there's still the weird misdirect thing. I mean,
Yeah.
like, especially because if you look at Erica's hair and you look at Heather from the party in episode 2,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a weird thing. You don't get that great a shot of her, like, in terms of not necessarily what we see on camera, but in terms of what a character would see under that lighting.
True,
So I'm
and
just
like
wondering.
even if that's her body, that's not really a guarantee that she's dead in that shot.
Yeah, if it's a fake memory or if it's
Oh, that's true too.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have no idea if what Allison's seeing is real.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have no idea what is real at all, which is one of the awesome things about the season so far. I mean, it's going to be it makes a lot of speculating difficult because you have to decide on some stuff before you can speculate further, but that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe canon is my favorite thing about fandom this week.
All right. We did get one. Oh, Anat, did you say your favorite thing?
No, I didn't. I didn't really have one ready, but I'm gonna go with this one. It's a new Tumblr that started posting this week that does Podfic Rex by those two mods, and they only post recommendations for stuff that they personally listened to and liked. And so you can find it at teenwolfpodficrex.tumblr.com without any dash or anything,
And we'll
just
put a
all
link
one
in the
word.
roundup post as well.
Oh, nice.
We did get one more ask from Step Quietly about Jeff Davis reacting badly to Indian fans talking about him using the name Kali.
Can I? What'd she say?
She just
She's
said
saying-
he kind of reacted really badly to Indian fans talking about his use of the name Kali because they did not cast they cast an actor who is African American and not an
I
actor
think
of
that
Indian
whole thing
descent.
is very interesting to me because Kali is one I think would be a really unusual name for an Indian person.
Character.
And like this is disclaimer, I'm not Indian, and I think they're totally justified in being pissed that there's not a South Asian character on the show, and that this character could clearly have been cast as South Asian and it would have made sense. All this stuff, but at the same time, Kali is also a name in a couple African languages. So, like, I think it's interesting the idea of like that kind of cultural ownership.
Yeah, and I mean, I knew a white girl
I don't think
who
it's
was named
wrong.
Kali and came from a hippie family. So
Yeah, I don't
they
think
could have
it's
done that. They
wrong.
could have done that, and that would have been ridiculous. But this is a bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Sticky
wrong
fruit.
for them to have been pissed, and the way that he reacted was sort of like, guys, I'm trying really hard, and you guys are still pissed at me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now-
it's sort of like, you could suck it up and be like, hey, I appreciate your concerns and that you care like passionately enough about the show for it to be better. You know, there are like ways to respond to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's not by saying, "Look, I gave you a Latino lead, and I gave you this, and I gave you that."
Yeah,
and,
like-
that is not going to endear yourself to anyone. Like, it's true, there are these things on the show, but when you start talking about it, like
Like, the
Your
racial diversity
phenomenon.
is one of the reasons I love Teen Wolf, but it definitely makes you look like an asshole when you start trying to name off your, like,
yeah, you're accomplished.
credentials.
Yeah, and it's not like this should be something that's happening anyway. This shouldn't
Right.
be something
Mhm.
that you get points for because it should be something that
Right.
just happens. Obviously, it's not. But that's what I mean. That's not the way to draw attention to your accomplishments. is by
Right.
listing off all of your.
And there's definitely
boxes of
some
nature.
problematic issues with their characters of color as well. Like, some people really feel like the Deaton and Morel characters fit the magical Negro stereotype, and the fact that Boyd is probably the least developed of the betas.
I'm hoping we get more Boyd for that very reason, and I'm
Yeah.
glad he didn't get killed off. And that's also why I'm worried about the unnamed girl being alive, because that
Right.
that if she was.
Like, I'm really hoping that's subverted, because I think it would be a real shame.
I know, and I think the show's smarter than that.
I want to believe that the show is smarter than that.
I mean, we all want to believe it's just a stupid show about teenage werewolves.
Right. And I think that's why, like, fans were so open and, like, angry about that with Jeff
Mhm.
Davis, because they want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and here's my thing is that, like, with the way Teen Wolf was structured in, is that I don't think it was even meant to be, like, that direct a reference. I think it's more of, like, someone thinking, oh, this would be really clever if I just named something like this. I don't think it's meant to be played as literally as it seems at first with
Wait,
the name
which part?
Collie. Sorry, with the name Collie.
Oh, okay. Well, he
I
did
think- I mean-
mention that she was, like, the fighter, and she's named after, you know...
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, you know, how much are they going to go into, like, you know, the actual, like, Hindu religion on the show?
Hopefully not at all.
I
Yeah,
agree,
exactly.
and I'm kind of curious about that too. I'm like, is that really her name, or is that like a name she is that like her alpha name?
That would be
I don't know.
interesting.
Because
I
that's
would
my
like that.
headcanon is that they
Right,
my
but-
headcanon is that, you know, it's kind of like their fighting name or their something they choose.
Does that
because I don't
explain
know.
Ennis?
Okay, let me. I
Continue.
maybe
Sorry.
he really liked Brokeback Mountain. Okay, that's all I can think
Sorry
of when I hear
about
the name Ennis.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Deucalion. Who names their kid Deucalion? And also symbolically, in Greek mythology, there was a flood that ended the whole world. The only man left was named Deucalion. Interesting.
Hmm.
Named after the last man.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Intrigue.
I don't know why you would name a child that, but I can think of a few reasons why you would pick that name for yourself. Same thing with
There's so
Dolly.
much interesting name symbolism going on, like Danny Mahalani.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yes. What is his last name means what? Full
It's
moon
like-
or
Yeah.
It's full moon, yeah.
in Hawaiian? I
Mhm.
tumbled about this a while ago, but I forgot. Or Allison Argent.
Right.
Super cool.
I loved when Jackson was just like, Argent means silver, you dumbass. And it's like, thank you for lampshading this. This is great.
I do think Scott is smart. He just doesn't have, you know, I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of common sense sometimes.
I mean, all his friends, like, well, he's friends with, like, I don't know, he surrounds himself with smart people. I don't think he's dumb in any particular...
No, I
way.
mean, the very first episode, he correctly uses the word litigious, but he doesn't know the word succumbed. And, you know, he's 16.
Yeah, but
Vocabulary
at the
comes
same
and goes.
time, you know, he gets his test back, and it's like, oh, yeah, you should have done better. So he's
Yeah,
clearly
exactly.
Right.
a good student.
He's not a dunce, he's just
Freak
got a lot
show.
of pressure on him that's making him collapse.
Oh, yeah.
But now
Which
he's
totally
gonna
makes
have to be
sense.
better, which is awesome.
Well, he's not going to be ephemeral this semester.
Oh my goodness.
Aww. I thought that was adorable.
I
was
loved
adorable.
everything about Scott in that episode.
And he subscribes to Word of the Day.
And his background, like a crappy tile of him and Allison.
I wonder what his password is.
It's probably still Allison.
Still, he doesn't learn. He still believes. Okay, this has gone a little bit over time, so let's bring it in for real.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you for listening. Thank you for asking things. Those of you who have, we hope we have covered as many bases as we could within our time constraints. And I would love to do another Teen Wolf panel and just talk about like Styles' hair or something. that might happen.
That's
we
fair.
didn't, we didn't get to, you know, shine the light of Misandry enough. So,
Oh, yeah.
Laurel, you're cutting off again.
Bye.
Okay, we are leaving. Bye.
Okay,
Thank you for listening. Bye.
All right. Thank y'all for listening.